Now that you have your two pieces, you're going to start with one of them being in this sort of semi bow shape facing up with the two triangles and the rectangle in the middle. And you're going to take the other piece and you're going to lay it on top so that the side with the two triangles touching intersects over top in sort of a X or cross-like fashion. It's sort of a Knights Templar cross here. Next, you're going to take one of the corners from the underside piece and you're going to fold right along that natural break. And tucks in and creates a point. It's kind of meeting the edge of the upper layered one. And what you're going to do is you're going to take this point that you are now folding in, and you're going to take this edge and you're going to tuck it in. Now, one of these edges is going to actually be multi-layered, so I suggest to make it a little extra tighter, separate that layer, tuck the point in. And then you're going to turn and you're going to do the same for the other triangle underneath on the underside layer. You're going to, and you can slide this to make it a little easier for you, make it a little straighter. Just fold along that natural break, find the pocket, find the pocket, and tuck it. Perfect. And we're going to flip it over, and we're going to do the exact same thing now on this side. I'm just going to slide it to the middle a little more. I'm going to press along the edges and the middle again to keep things flat. And I'm just going to fold along that natural break to create this pointed edge. And as you see, there's this flap on this side. So I'm going to tuck in between layers and press it down. And this side's just got the one flap, so I'm just going to edge. And I'm just going to tuck it in. A little difficult to shift things, some of the edges and flaps around a bit to get it to tuck tight and uniform. Especially with thicker paper, these corner edges can become very thick and layered and just not quite sit right. So take your time to really kind of press and shape it. When you're done, you should have a ninja throwing star or shuriken. Now, to make the pinwheel, you're actually just going to do another quick shaping step on top of that, and that's really all there is to that. You're going to take one of the tips, and you can see it's got sort of this pocket. When you fold it, it kind of tries to lay as flat as possible to reduce the air friction when you throw it. However, if you put your finger in, holding the middle to make sure you don't pop that flap out, and putting your thumb on the spine here of this star's point, just press and shape with your finger. Kind of puff that out into a petal. You now got this sort of cup forming. Out of the star. And by doing that, to the next point, and then the other two after that, We're going to create a much less two-dimensional and more three-dimensional looking piece with these sort of cups coming out of the tips. What these cups are is going to be where the wind or the air catches in your pinwheel so that it can turn. Once you've got all four, you should have a more flat inner area, and then these four shaped out cupped tips. Still somewhat resembling the shuriken from before, but now with the added ability to catch air. Now that's not going to be very good for throwing a ninja star because obviously air resistance is going to limit how far it'll go. However, it is very good when you want to create a windmill or other kind of turbine that catches wind or water or something, having those cups there to spin it. That resistance is actually what's creating the energy and the motion. So if you just take a brad, a tack, in this case, I actually took a paper clip and I folded it. I used a sewing needle to pierce through the middle part of the paper and then stuck the paper clip right through, looping it and making sure there's enough space between the loop and where it bends down to give it a little motion. You should end up with a nice little pinwheel. It doesn't always have to have a handle on it. If you want to maybe create a little pin, you can just put a little tack through. Obviously, the more room in back for it to spin on before the bend or whatever you would put back here, the easier and more freely it'll spin, but also the less controlled the spin might be. It might require less wind or pressure to spin it, but it also can kind of wobble. So you want to just kind of experiment and adjust with your needs for your piece. Also, I have a more rounded back, but if you go a little more straight, it might help. You can also maybe affix little rubber bands or something in there to act as a little bump barrier. Yeah, that's how to create a origami lotus and a pinwheel slash shuriken out of just household paper, in our case 8.5 by 11. But I encourage everybody to experiment as they get more and more comfortable creating their pieces. Maybe try different paper. I like to use whatever I find around just to kind of get a feel for how it would look in the end. Drawing on your paper, coloring it, can also be a lot of fun because you will find that the design that you make will show up and create the piece to look different in each way. Sometimes I will actually draw as I'm folding, maybe do a little design on one side, do more folding, draw a couple other objects, circles, eyes, whatever, and then it's fun to see where it ends up on the final piece if it ever does show up in the surface area, surface layers. There's definitely a lot of fun things that you can do when you're just around the house wanting to kill some time or create some pieces, learn some folds. So I definitely advise you guys to get out there and see what you can do. This has been Hubert Buddinski, and I hope that we get to do some more videos in the future. I do have a couple that I might plan to make, including a upcycled soda can island with palm trees and a monkey, as well as a sketching and marker tutorial. Have a good day, and I hope to see you guys in the future. Hi, this is the disembodied voice of Hubert Buddinski. I'd like to apologize for my fading in and out of existence in my fantasy land. Nah, I'm just kidding. My camera was just having some green screen issues, but I'm sure you figured that out. I'm pretty transparent. I'm sure critic Meta Matt would also agree that that's a bad joke and be very disappointed, but I'll spare him by just not choosing to draw him for this final frame. But yeah, I'd like to apologize for my transparency, and I'd like to thank you again for joining me with this tutorial. Hope to see you in the future.